Welcome to this book summary video on female serial killers by Peter Wronski. This book provides a fascinating exploration of a subject that is often overlooked and misunderstood, the world of female serial killers. Despite being a relatively rare phenomenon, female serial killers have captured the public imagination for decades, with real-life examples like Aileen Wuornos and Belle Gunness becoming household names. In this video, we'll be exploring the key themes and ideas from the book, discussing how they can be applied to real-life situations and providing personal insights and reflections along the way. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Female Serial Killer. In the opening chapter, Wronski challenges the myths and stereotypes surrounding female serial killers. He argues that our cultural assumptions about gender and violence have led us to underestimate the prevalence and significance of female serial killers. Wronski explores some of the reasons why the phenomenon of female serial killers is often misunderstood or dismissed, such as the tendency to pathologize their behavior as madness or attribute it to external factors like abusive relationships. Wronski also argues that society often fails to acknowledge the fact that women are capable of violent behavior. This is because we have cultural and social norms that perpetuate the belief that women are supposed to be gentle and nurturing. This narrow view of femininity leads us to underestimate the possibility of violent behavior in women. Furthermore, Wronski debunks the idea that female serial killers are a rare phenomenon, showing that there are far many cases than we may realize. He suggests that the lack of recognition of female serial killers has made it difficult to understand the motives behind their crimes. As I was reading this chapter, I found myself reflecting on some of the media portrayals of female serial killers that I've seen in movies or TV shows. It was interesting to see how those portrayals often reinforce the myth of the female serial killer as a rare and aberrant phenomenon rather than a more complex and nuanced reality. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Female Serial Killers. In this chapter, he delves into the psychological factors that may contribute to female serial killer behaviors. He explores the role of childhood trauma, personality disorders, and other mental health issues, as well as the influence of social and cultural factors. Wronski also discusses some of the challenges in diagnosing and treating female serial killers, as well as the ethical considerations involved in studying them. One key point that Wronski makes is that many female serial killers have experienced significant trauma or abuse in their childhoods. This trauma can lead to feelings of powerlessness and a desire for control over others, which may manifest in violent behavior. However, Wronski emphasizes that not all female serial killers have experienced childhood trauma, and that there is no one-size-fits-all explanation for their behavior. Another factor that Wronski discusses is the influence of personality disorders, particularly borderline personality disorder. This disorder is characterized by unstable emotions, impulsive behavior, and a fear of abandonment. Wronski suggests that this fear of abandonment may drive some female serial killers to form intense and often destructive relationships with their victims. Finally, Wronski examines the role of social and cultural factors in female serial killer behaviors. He suggests that social and cultural norms that perpetuate gender roles may influence the ways in which female serial killers express their violent tendencies. As someone who has studied psychology before, I found this chapter to be particularly interesting. It was fascinating to see how some of the psychological factors that contribute to other forms of violent behavior, such as aggression or abuse, may also be relevant to female serial killers. It was also a good reminder of the importance of approaching this topic with empathy and understanding, rather than judgment or condemnation. Chapter 3. The History of Female Serial Killers. In this chapter, Wronski takes a historical perspective, tracing the evolution of female serial killers from ancient times to the present day. He explores some of the most notorious cases of female serial killers throughout history, including some that may be less known to the general public. Wronski also discusses some of the cultural and societal factors that may have contributed to the rise of female serial killers at various points in history. One of the key takeaways from this chapter is that female serial killers have always existed, even if they were not always recognized as such. Vronsky argues that historical accounts of female serial killers have often been dismissed or overlooked because of the cultural and social norms of the time. For example, women in the past were often seen as powerless and submissive, making it difficult for them to be perceived as capable of violent behavior. Vronsky also examines how cultural and societal factors have influenced female serial killers throughout history. For example, during the Victorian era, women were expected to be angelic and morally pure, making it difficult for them to express any kind of violent or deviant behavior. However, during times of war or social upheaval, women have sometimes been able to gain power and autonomy through violent means. I found this chapter to be particularly engaging, as I have been always interested in history and how it relates to current events. It was fascinating to see how the phenomenon of female serial killers has evolved over time and how cultural and societal factors can shape our understanding of the violent behavior. Chapter 4. Female Serial Killers in Popular Culture. In this chapter, he examines the portrayal of female serial killers in popular cultures such as movies, TV shows, and books. He explores some of the common themes and motives that appear in these portrayals, such as the femme fatale archetype or the idea of the killer as a victim. Vronsky also discusses some of the ethical implications of using real-life cases of female serial killers as entertainment. One key point that Vronsky makes is that the portrayal of female serial killers in popular culture often reinforces stereotypes and misconceptions about their behavior. For example, many portrayals of female serial killers present them as seductive and manipulative, playing into the femme fatale archetype. This can obscure the underlying psychological and societal factors that contribute to their behavior. Vronsky also raises ethical concerns about using real-life cases of female serial killers as entertainment. He suggests that these portrayals can be exploitative and insensitive to the victims and their families, and may contribute to a culture that sensationalizes violence against women. As someone who enjoys watching crime dramas and thrillers, I found this chapter to be thought-provoking. It was interesting to see how the portrayal of female serial killers in popular culture can both reinforce and challenge our assumptions about gender and violence. It was also a good reminder of the ethical considerations involved in consuming and creating media about real-life cases of violence. Chapter 5. The Future of Female Serial Killers. In the final chapter, he offers some reflections on the future of female serial killers. He explores some of the potential factors that may contribute to the rise or decline of female serial killers in the coming years, such as changes in gender roles or advances in forensic science. Vronsky also discusses some of the challenges and opportunities for preventing and addressing female serial killers in the future. One key takeaway from this chapter is that the phenomenon of female serial killers is complex and multifaceted, and that there is no single solution to preventing or addressing their behavior. Vronsky suggests that a better understanding of the social and psychological factors that contribute to female serial killers' behavior may be the key to developing more effective prevention and intervention strategies. Another factor that Vronsky discusses is the role of technology and forensic science in addressing female serial killers. He suggests that advances in DNA analysis and other forensic techniques may make it easier to identify and apprehend female serial killers in the future. However, he also notes that technology can be a double-edged sword, as it can also be used to perpetrate violence and evade detection. This chapter left me with a sense of both optimism and caution. On the one hand, it was encouraging to see how advances in science and technology may help us understand and prevent violent behavior in the future. On the other hand, it was a sobering reminder that violence, particularly against women, is still a pervasive and complex issue in our society. Overall, Female Serial Killers is a fascinating and thought-provoking read that sheds light on a topic that is often overlooked or sensationalized in the media. Examining the history, psychology, and cultural context of female serial killers, Vronsky provides a nuanced and empathetic understanding of their behavior. While the subject matter may be disturbing at times, the book is ultimately a reminder of the importance of empathy, understanding, and critical thinking in our approach to violence and criminal behavior. Thank you for watching this book summary video on Female Serial Killer by Peter Vronsky. We hope that this video has provided you with a better understanding of the key themes and ideas from the book, as well as some personal insights and reflections. We encourage you to read the book yourself to delve deeper into this fascinating and complex topic. Remember to approach this subject with empathy and understanding, and to consider the ethical implications of using real-life cases of violence as entertainment. There's a link in the description below that you can use to buy this book, which helps us create content like this for free. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.